Gabriel Same!
There must be some mistake.
We've made no mistake!
Mr. Gabriel Same!
Yes, I am he.
Father, artist.
Mother, housewife.
The latter, a spokesperson for puritanical abstinence.
The former, an advocate for pagan latitude.
Grandfather, never wore a hat.
Uncle once attempted to peruse about town in a hat and nothing but.
I do not deny I come from a particular family of cranks, but I myself have done nothing wrong as to be detained and questioned.
Having been surrounded by every kind of revolt since infancy, you revolted in the one thing left.
I?
Sanity.
Is sanity a crime these days?
Quite the contrary. You seem to be of the right frame of mind. Just the right man that we would ask you to join us.
Join you in what?
I will tell you.
This is the situation.
The head of our department, one of the most celebrated detectives of all Europe, has long been of the opinion that a purely intellectual conspiracy would soon threaten the very existence of civilization.
He is certain that the scientific and artistic worlds are silently bound in a crusade against the family and the state. He has, therefore, formed a special corps of policemen who are also philosophers.
It is our job to watch this conspiracy, not merely in a criminal, but in a controversial sense. It is an investigation, which is also a heresy hunt.
I see. What is it that you do?
The work of a philosophical detective is at once more noble, more bold than that of the ordinary detective.
The ordinary detective goes to pothouses to detect thieves.
We go to artistic tea parties to detect pessimists.
The ordinary detective discovers from a diary or a ledger that a crime has been committed.
We discover from a book of sonnets that a crime will be committed.
We have to trace the origin of those dreadful thoughts that drive men on at last to intellectual fanaticism and intellectual crime.
Do you really think there is as much connection between crime and the modern intellect as all that?
We say that a dangerous criminal is the educated criminal.
We say the most dangerous criminal now is that entirely lawless modern philosopher. Why, compared to him, burglars and bigamists are essentially moral men. My heart goes out to them.
They accept the ideal of man. They merely seek it wrongly.
Thieves respect property, or else they would not seek out the property of others in order to make it more true to them.
Philosophers hate property as property. They would destroy the very existence of personal possessions.
Bigamists respect marriage, or else they would not go through the highly ceremonial and even ritualistic formality of bigamy.
Philosophers despise marriage, qua marriage.
Murderers respect human life. They merely wish to attain a higher fullness of human life in themselves by the sacrifice of what seems to them to be lesser lives.
These philosophers hate life itself, their own as much as every other man's.
How true that is. I have felt it from my youth, but never could state the verbal antithesis. The common criminal is a bad man, but at least he is, as it were, a conditional good man. He says that if only a certain obstacle be removed,
Say, a wealthy uncle.
he is then prepared to accept the universe and praise God. He is a reformer, but not an anarchist. This philosopher of which you speak, he's not trying to alter things, but to annihilate them.
Now he's got it.
I don't know what it is you do, Mr. Sane, but you're wasting your life.
You must, you shall form a special army against anarchy. Their armies are on the frontier. Their boat is ready to fall. A moment more, and you may lose the glory of working with us. Perhaps the glory of dying one of the last heroes of the world.
How can I join you?
I know for a fact that we have a vacancy at the moment.
You must speak with our chief.
And who is he?
I don't know,
No one's seen him.
What?
but he's ready to see you.
Are you the recruit? Speak.
Yes,
Higher.
but I have no experience.
No one has any experience in the Battle of Armageddon. That is enough.
Well, really? I don't know of any profession in which mere willingness is the final test.
I do martyrs. I am condemning you to death. Good day, Mr. Sane.
Mr. Sane, you haven't read for us this evening.
What is it you're working on? A wild mystery, a mad adventure?
A romantic romp.
A poem?
A poem? Our new friend, Mr. Sane, is a poet like you, Gregory. No, not very much a poet like you. He's, how did you say it?
A poet?
A poet of law.
A poet of order?
And you, Gregory, are?
The anarchist poet.
Read for us, won't you, Mr. Sane?
A cloud was on the mind of men, and wailing went the weather. Yea, a sick cloud upon the soul, when we were boys together. Round us in antic order their crippled vices came. Lust that had lost its laughter, fear that had lost its shame. Life was a fly that faded, and death a drone that stung. The world was very old indeed when you and I were young. They twisted even decent sin to shapes not to be named. Men were ashamed of honor, but we were not ashamed. Weak if we were, and foolish, not thus we failed, not thus. When that black ball blocked the heavens, he had no hymns from us. Children we were. Our forts of sand were even as weak as we. High as they went, we piled them up to break that bitter sea. Fools as we were in motley, all jangling and absurd. When all church bells were silent, our cap and bells were heard. But we were young. We lived to see God break their bitter charms. God and the good republic come riding back in arms. We have seen the city of man's soul, even as it rocked, relieved. Blessed are they who did not see, but being blind, believed. This is a tale... I haven't finished.
A poem. My dear man, you would know a poem if it blew up in your face.
How so?
Because you are not a poet.
Excuse my brother, Mr. Sane.
No, I'll hear this out. What then is a poet?
A poet is an artist. And an artist is identical with an anarchist. The anarchist is an artist. You might transpose the words anywhere. The man who throws a bomb is an artist because he prefers a great moment to everything. He sees how much more valuable is one burst of blazing light, one peal of perfect thunder. The poet disregards all governments, abolishes all conventions. The poet delights in disorder only. If it were not so, the most poetical thing in the world would be the Underground Railway.
So it is.
Is it? Nonsense!
Think of your own experience, Gregory. The rare, strange thing is to hit the mark. The gross, obvious thing is to miss it. We feel it is epical when man with one wild arrow strikes a distant bird. Is it not also epical when man with one wild engine strikes a distant station?
Think of your own experience, Mr. Singh. Why do all the clerics at the railway station look so very sad and tired? I will tell you. It is because they know that the train is going right. It is because they know that whatever place they have taken a ticket for, that place they will reach. The guard shouts, "Victoria!" And it is indeed Victoria. Oh, their wild rapture! Oh, their eyes like stars and their souls again in Eden. If the next station were unaccountably Baker Street.
If I may, Gregory, it is you who are unpoetical. Chaos is dull. In chaos, the train might indeed go anywhere, to Baker Street or to Baghdad. But man is a magician, and his whole magic is in this, that he does say Victoria, and lo, it is Victoria.
I say,
I must ask, what is Victoria now that you've got there?
When I hear the guard shout out the word Victoria, it is not to me an unmeaning word. It is to me the cry of a herald announcing conquest. It is to me indeed Victoria. It is the victory of Adam.
You think Victoria like the New Jerusalem? We know the New Jerusalem will only be like Victoria. Yes, the poet will be discontented even in the streets of heaven. The poet is always in revolt.
Being sick is a revolt. Both being sick and being in rebellion may be the wholesome thing in certain desperate occasions. But I am hanged if I can see why they are poetical. Revolt in the abstract is revolting. It's mere vomiting.
The examples you choose.
I beg your pardon. I thought we had abolished all conventions.
You don't expect me to revolutionize society on this lawn?
No, I don't. But I suppose that if you were serious about your anarchism, that is exactly what you would do.
Don't you think then that I am serious about my anarchism?
I beg your pardon.
Am I not serious about my anarchism?
My dear fellow! You've never seen it. You've never seen it. It's before.
Mr. Sane,
Yes?
forgive me. Do people who talk like you and my brother often mean what they say?
Oh, often, I suppose.
Did you mean what you just said now?
My dear Miss Gray, there are many kinds of sincerity and insincerity. Now, sometimes a man like your brother really does find a thing he means. It may only be a half-truth, quarter-truth, tenth-truth, but then he says more than he means, from sheer force of movement.
Is he really an anarchist then?
Only in that sense. Or, if you prefer it, that's nonsense.
Well, he wouldn't really use bombs or that sort of thing, would he?
Good Lord, no. That must be done anonymously.
I would like to hear the rest of your poem.
Some other time, then. Good night, Miss Gregory. What ho!
I was waiting for you. Might I have a moment's conversation?
Certainly. About what?
About this. And this. There is your precious order. That lean iron lamp. Ugly and barren. There is anarchy. Rich, living, reproducing itself. There is anarchy, splendid in green and gold.
All the same, just at present, you only see the tree by the light of the lamp. I wonder when you would ever see the lamp by the light of the tree.
How do you mean?
May I ask if you had been standing out here in the dark only to resume our little argument?
No, I have not been standing out here to resume our little argument, but to end it forever.
How do you mean?
Mr. Sane, tonight you managed to do something rather remarkable. You managed to do something that no man, born a woman, has ever done before.
Indeed.
You have irritated me.
I am very sorry.
I am afraid that my fury and your insults are too shocking to be wiped out, even with an apology. No duel could wipe it out. If I struck you dead, I could not wipe it out. There is only one way by which this insult can be erased, and that way I choose. I am going, at the possible expense of my life and honor, to prove to you that you were wrong in what you said.
In what I said when?
You said I was not serious about being an anarchist.
There are degrees of seriousness.
How so?
I have never doubted that you were perfectly sincere in the sense that you thought what you said well worth saying. that you thought a paradox might wake men up to a neglected truth.
And in no other sense you think me serious? You think me a flanner who lets fall occasional truths. You do not think that in a deeper, more deadly sense, I am serious.
Serious, you say? I should think very little of a man who didn't keep something in the background of his mind that was more serious than all this talking. Something more serious, whether it were religion or merely drink.
Very well. You shall see something more serious than either drink or religion. You spoke just now of having a religion. Is it really true that you have one?
Well, we're all Catholics now.
Then, may I ask you to swear by whatever gods or saints your religion invokes that you will not reveal what I'm about to tell you to any son of Adam, especially not to the police? Will you swear that? You will consent to burn your soul with the vow you should never make, and of knowledge you should never dream of. I shall promise you in return.
What will you promise me in return?
I shall promise you a very entertaining evening.
Your offer is far too idiotic to be declined.
So be it. I think we'll call a cab.
This is where we are to have a little conversation.
I dare say this parlor is the perfect place. Will you take a little supper? The pâté frugal is not good here, but I can recommend the game.
Certainly, sir. Oh, bring me a lobster mayonnaise.
And what will you drink?
I suppose.
I shall only have the crème de menthe myself. I have time. But the champagne really can be trusted. Do let me start you off with a half bottle of Pommery at least.
You are too kind.
Voila! Lobster!
I don't often have the luck to have a dream like this. It's new to me for a nightmare to lead to lobster. It's commonly the other way.
You are not asleep, I assure you. On the contrary, you're on the verge of the most actual and rousing moment of your existence. Try your champagne. There may be a slight disproportion, let's say, between the inner arrangements of this excellent hotel and its simple and unpretentious exterior. But that is all our modesty. We are the most modest men that have ever lived on earth.
And who are we?
We are the serious anarchists in whom you do not believe.
You certainly are serious in drinks.
We are quite serious in everything. Our promises included.
What promise?
You promised just before that you wouldn't tell a soul.
Oh, I see. Permit me here and now to swear as a Christian, and promise as a good comrade and fellow artist, that I will report nothing of this, whatever it is, to the police.
Very well. Now we are quite comfortable, so let us speak properly. The truth is, Mr. Sane, no human words can give you any notion of why I brought you here. It was one of those quite arbitrary emotions, like jumping off a cliff or falling in love. Suffice to say that you are quite an inexpressibly irritating fellow. And to do you justice, you are still. You said I was not serious about being an anarchist. Does this place strike you as being serious?
It does seem to have a moral under all its gaiety. But may I ask you a question? You need not fear to give me information, because as you remember, you very wisely extorted from me a promise not to tell the police. A promise I shall certainly keep. So it's in mere curiosity that I make my queries.
By all means, proceed with your inquisition.
First of all, what is this really all about? What is it you object to? You want to abolish government?
Our end? Abolish government? Nay. We not only want to upset a few regulations and police despotisms, that sort of anarchy does exist, but it is a mere branch of the nonconformists.
Then what?
To abolish God. We not only want to deny those arbitrary notions of vice and virtue, honor and treachery by which mere rebels base themselves. The silly sentimentalists of the French Revolution talked of the rights of man. We hate rights as we hate wrongs. We have abolished right and wrong.
And right and left.
Pardon?
Right and left. I hope you abolish them as well. They are far more troublesome to me.
I dare say you still do not perceive me as serious.
How can I when you parade your cause in every park and pub in London?
I dare say, Mr. Sim, you will not believe until you see.
Until I see what?
You shall indeed see. Follow me.
The check, good man.
Password, sir?
Password?
Mr. Joseph Chamberlain. Certainly, sir.
I must ask you to forgive me all these formalities. We have to be very strict here.
Oh, don't apologize. I know your passion for law and order. But what is it? I must see it. It's blasted dark.
Behold, the home of the Anarchist Council.
I see. I have an aunt who lived over a shop once. This is the first time I found people living from preference under a public house.
I said you would not believe me until you saw this infernal room.
Believe you? In all your present acts and surroundings, there is a scientific attempt at secrecy. Yet you all but shouted your thoughts and intentions all the way from Saffron Park. Why ought I believe you?
The answer is simple. I said you would not believe me until you saw.
I see.
I shall explain. When first I became one of the new anarchists, I tried all kinds of respectable disguises. I dressed up as a bishop. I read all of their bishops and our anarchist pamphlets. I certainly understood from this bishops were strange, terrible old men keeping a cruel secret from mankind. When, on my first appearance in my episcopal gaiters, I cried out in a voice of thunder, "Down, down, presumptuous human reason!" They found out I was no bishop at all. I was nabbed at once. Then, I tried being a major. I threw myself into the major. I drew my sword constantly and waved it wildly. I cried out blood, abstractedly like a man calling for wine. I often said, "Let the weak perish, it is the law." Well, it seems majors don't do this. I was nabbed again. At last, I went to despair to the president of the Anarchist Council, who is the greatest man in Europe.
And who is he?
You wouldn't know him. That is his greatness. Caesar and Napoleon put all their greatness into being heard of, and they were heard of. He puts all his greatness into not being heard of, and he is not heard of. But you cannot be in the room with him for more than 5 minutes without thinking that Caesar and Napoleon would have been children in his hands. I said to him, "What disguise will hide me from the world?" He said, "You want a safe disguise, do you? You want a dress which will guarantee you harmless? A dress which no one will ever look for a bomb? Why then dress up as an anarchist, you fool? Hear what soul will get the room shook. No one will ever expect you to do anything dangerous then." And he turned his broad back on me without another word. I took his advice, never regretted it.
It really is a clever dodge. But what do you call this tremendous president of yours?
We generally call him Sunday. You see, there are 7 members of the Anarchist Council, and they are named after days of the week. He is called Sunday. And after tonight, it is almost a certain thing that I am to be Thursday.
I congratulate you, my dear fellow. An excellent career.
Thank you. I feel somehow as if you were my mother, Sam. I feel as if I can confide anything to you. You promise not to tell anyone. Why are you laughing?
Well, damn it all! This is the funniest situation I've ever been in my life! And I'm going to act accordingly. Gregory, I gave you a promise. That promise I would keep under red-hot pencils. Would you give me, for my own safety, a little promise of the same kind?
Have you got a secret?
Yes, I have a secret. Will you swear?
You must have bewitched me, for I feel a furious curiosity about you. Yes, I will promise not to tell the anarchist anything. But look sharp, for they shall be here in a couple of minutes.
Well, I don't know how to tell you the truth any more shortly than by saying that your expedient of dressing up as an aimless poet is not confined to you or your president. We have known the dodge for some time at Scotland Yard.
What did you say?
I said Scotland Yard. Yes, I am a police detective, and I think maybe your friends are. Look sharp, Gregory. You promised.
Mr. Joseph Chamberlain. Mr. Joseph Chamberlain. Mr. Joseph Chamberlain. Mr. Joseph Chamberlain. Mr. Joseph Chamberlain.
Comrade Gregory, I suppose this man is a delegate.
Him? Well, I am glad to see your gate so well enough guarded to make it hard for anyone to be here who wasn't a delegate.
I say, what branch do you represent?
Branch.
I should hardly call it a branch. I should call it at the very least a route.
How do you mean?
The fact is, the truth is, I'm a Sabbatarian. I have been specially sent to see that you show due observance of Sunday.
Well, comrade, I suppose we'd better give you a seat in the meeting.
If you ask my advice as a friend, I think you'd better. Come, Gregory, old boy.
I think this time we begin. Comrade Buttons, you have to check.
Comrades, our meeting tonight is important, though it need not be long. This branch has always had the honour of electing Thursdays for the Central European Council. We have elected many an a splendid Thursday. We all lament the sad decease of that heroic worker who occupied the post until last week. His services to the cause were considerable. As you know, he organised the great dynamite coup of Brighton, which, under happier circumstances, ought to have killed everybody on the pier. As you also know, his death was as self-denying as his life, for he died through his faith in a hygienic mixture of chalk and water as a substitute for milk, which beverage he regarded as barbaric and as involving cruelty to the cow. Cruelty, or anything approaching cruelty, revolted him always. But it is not to praise his merits that we are met, but for a harder task. It is difficult properly to praise his qualities, but it is far more difficult to replace them. Upon you, comrades, it devolves this evening to select from among your number the man who shall be Thursday. If any comrade suggests a name, I shall put it to a vote. If no comrade suggests a name, I can only tell myself that that dear dynamite who has gone from us has carried off into the unknowable abysses the last secret of his virtue and his innocence.
I move that Comrade Gregory be elected Thursday.
Does anyone second? I see. Does anyone oppose the election of Comrade Gregory?
Yes, Chairman. I oppose.
How now?
Comrades, you all know Mr. Gregory. Comrade Gregory. You are all aware of his illustrious career for our cause. He himself has told anyone who would hear it. He began a humanitarian, determined to cure society of its arbitrary sentiments of vice and virtue, wrong and right, right and left. He railed against conventions to scores of open ears, predominantly idle middle-class women, yet failed to convince them to drop their petticoats and powders for bombs and bayonets. Undaunted, however, he took his skills to espionage, adopting the role of a bishop, and remaining true to the tenets of our order, outed himself as no bishop at all. Foiled but unfazed, he put on the guise of a major, and again proved himself no major to speak of. Like Thursday last, he has sacrificed himself entirely for the cause. His dignity, pride, and good face all gone. Gregory should make an excellent Thursday. But what is the problem? Humanitarian, bishop, major, the prophet of Saffron Park, all, comrades, leaders in society. Society! We have no love for society. Leaders mean followers. They signify sequence, progression, order. We have no love for order. These are the qualities that Gregory has sought to embody. And these are the qualities that he would bring as Thursday. They are amiable qualities in polite society. I say that Comrade Gregory is unfit to be Thursday for all his amiable qualities. I say he is unfit to be Thursday because of his amiable qualities. We do not want the Supreme Council of Anarchy infected with a maudlin mercy.
You damnable hypocrite. You blasted madman.
Comrade Gregory calls me a hypocrite and a madman. Madman? Why? I am not a man at all. I am a cause.
Stop this. Stop this at once.
I am Thursday.
This man cannot be elected. He's a...
I am a what? A cause.
I beg to second the election of Comrade